Hi, Megan. How are you? Oh, you're muted. Hold on. Sorry. There you go.
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. I'm here helping. I am going to probably mostly stay muted, but I just want to let you know I am here.
Thank you.
I have the capabilities of sharing screen and whatever you need to do during this session. I'm sure people will start jumping in momentarily. We were just finishing up a social media coaching, so I think people will be hopping over from there momentarily.
Hopefully.
Well, we'll see. We will find out.
I know, we'll find out. That would be mortifying.
And I'm here. I'm just off camera because I got a lot of things going on in the background.
Oh, you're fine.
I'm
I'm
not,
like,
I'm not even,
what?
I'm not even dressed yet. I'm like getting,
Yeah.
yeah.
I know. So I'm still a little, I was like gonna get all ready and I was like, well,
Oh,
oh,
here, Emily's coming in. All right. So I'm gonna spotlight you
all right.
and you as people come in. Good morning, good afternoon. Those of you joining us, just give us a few minutes while everybody else kind of joins in here. We just did a social media session with Andrew Jevons. So if you were over there, thank you for coming out to our accountability session. So we just want to give those people a few minutes to hop on over. And Megan here today with us can maybe, while we wait, can give a little intro, a little bit about yourself and what they can expect in today's session and maybe the upcoming ones over the course of the months.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. I'm Megan, and we are out here in the greater Seattle area. My husband and I run a team. Some of you may know me from the introduction last week, or I've done a couple of sessions with Chirag in the past where we've talked about like Compass tools and how to integrate them into your business and team, and specifically communication plans into the CRM. But today's session, we're going to be going back over the data sheet and making sure everybody, while I'm not exactly tech support, I can help walk people through some of the different pieces of the data sheet and how we're going to then utilize what we do have in the data sheet into our CRM going forward. Also, if you're a new agent or you have newer agents on your team, while this isn't necessarily the data sheet isn't quite for them yet because they don't have the transactions, it's good to get them familiar with it so that way they can start monitoring their business from the beginning. But it also going forward will be really great because we're going to be doing a lot of like CRM stuff with the Compass Tech and how to make your business more automated and not have to be on top of everybody all the time. So that's kind of what we're going to be working on. And we'll give people a couple more minutes. But if anybody has any questions kind of like right up front, today is data sheet day. So feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand or jump in. You're also welcome to put a note in the chat box, just so that way we can kind of get into the direction, because while I'm leading the accountability group, I want to make sure that we're really focusing on what people need to be saying. And so also it gives you a time to be working on getting this stuff set up in your business. All right, a couple more minutes.
Yeah, and I just want to let everybody know that I dropped in the data spreadsheet link in case you don't have it or haven't been able to access it. It is in the chat box. What you would do is click on it and it will prompt you to make a copy. So do that, and then it will open up the sheet for you to be able to fill it.
A couple things, like we'll give it like 2 more minutes, but a couple things about me, fun facts. I ride horses, show jumpers competitively. We collect bourbon. I run the team with my husband, and I part of Compass Sports and Entertainment and grew up in a football family. So that's fun facts about
Well, another
me.
fun fact is your husband's a pilot, right?
Yes, he is a pilot, and he also was a professor. So I joke, and he worked in a prison at one point. So I joke all the time that he's like the Dos Equis man, basically. So he's lived a lot of chapters. No problem. Feel free to jump in and out as needed. So we'll go ahead and first of all, who has started filling out their data sheet and who hasn't? Has everybody filled out their, have not, okay. Yes, have, cool. Okay, so we're seeing a mixed bag, partly. Okay. And then does everybody's market have the finance tab yet on Compass's platform? Because Seattle doesn't. Okay, perfect. Sounds good. So I'll kind of talk about both options. We also have a video that's up on the deliverables that talks about if you do have the finance tab. I went ahead and did it 2 different ways, just so that way we could talk about how you can fill it out if you don't have access to the finance tab. I know different markets are getting it at different times. We are on the list to get it in Seattle, but we've used a different system and they're integrating it right now. So we don't actually have access to that. So the way, for those of you that do have the finance tab, Deborah, could you put in the chat the link to the video of how to get your, move your things over?
Yes, let me see if I can
I
access.
have it where we can watch it on my screen, but
Where is that link?
it's in deliverables.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and play it for everybody, but just while we're, no, let's not have my phone ring.
Just grabbing it. Give me 1 second. Deliverables. Is it from the day of Chirag and Kate?
It is a video here. I'll see if I can't play it on the screen. It's just a screenshotted video. It's the link if it's in Google Drive. So if you do have the finance tab, it is under I will make sure that this video gets reposted for everybody, but the I'm gonna go ahead and pull it up. It is under business tracker where it says finances if you do have it. And what you're able to do is select all your transactions and you can export in the top right hand corner. If you are unable to access finance, which let's talk about that since we do have a video on how to do that. You have 2 options depending on what your MLS looks like, or SkySlope. Well, 3 options really. So our MLS, the way it works, I'm going to go ahead and share screen with you. So our MLS, for example, here at Northwest MLS, we're able to go down here and say like, it's a little bit more labor intensive, but for example, we can put in buyer broker ID, and then you can sort by date and time and select what you need to and export it to an Excel file. So you're able to do it that way, and you can kind of cobble and paste. like all of your different transactions, whether it's buyer or seller, and then upload it directly into your Excel spreadsheet, which requires a little bit more deleting and adding. I also personally tried it where I manually typed in all our transactions from the last year, which that was fun. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't too crazy to do, but this is the end result. I can get to it. So this was the end result. So the biggest thing is knowing from the beginning here where the close date, address, type, side represented, property type, close price. Then all the things that you're going to be adding more are the portions that then are going to play into our CRM down here and for client source. And you're able to see where you should be spending more time. Like our client source, for example, is heavily Compass referral at 31.4%. Alaska, which is a specific employer here, 17.1, and then past clients is also big for us. Deborah, I'm going to send you that video just so that way you can send it out to make sure everybody has it.
Yeah.
For
Looking for, I think I think it was in a download on the deliverables.
It was.
Yeah, so I have to get it linked into my drive to send it as a link. So just
perfect. Awesome. So that'll help everybody with doing it. So if you haven't started doing it, now's a good time to start. So if you, while you're kind of listening and we're here chatting, feel free to throw out questions and start adding into your transactions the different pieces of here. The way that I by hand did all this was I printed out all of our transactions and highlighted through them as I went, because I know that some of the different MLSs are different on how you can export things. Another option is through finance. If you have all of your commission breakdowns, they will show you all of your net GCI and have the closing dates and the amount and the side represented and everything as well. So depending on how you're tracking that. Pulling up the chat to see. You pulled up, completed all the data, but the charts did not populate. Is there another step? So on that second tab, your charts did not populate. And you click that tab and it didn't go through. So on the very bottom, there is a second tab that says charts. If you click on that, the charts are on that page. But you have to make sure that if you resort it, that the formula at the top hasn't gotten altered. Because if the formula at the top has changed, like I resorted it once and didn't adjust the formula and it messed everything up. So that it could be an issue. I personally, for how far back I go, this is a rolling 12 months because we're in the middle of business planning, like getting a jump on business planning in for next year and what we need to be focusing on. And yeah, but if it shows, the finance tracker only will show under business tracker if you have it in your area. If not, we have to be creative. So when the way we are using this and the way that this is going to come into play going forward in our accountability sessions is this is kind of like a big overview of your business. It shows you where your money is, where you're getting the most bang for your buck, who your targeted demographic is, like who you have more of that in one than the other, and allows you to kind of break everything down and see what we're doing. I'm personally in the middle of, after doing this and taking another look at it, I'm adding a couple more tabs. One of which is outgoing referrals. That is something specifically with the 532 that we're talking about, and talking to different agents across the board, is tracking outgoing referrals is one. Two, we're adding where our clients are going and coming from. So while we have seller side, represented tenant, buyer, and we have whether or not it's a client Compass referral or an outside agent referral, we don't have right now where they're going. So we're going to be adding a chart that says, okay, well, they stayed in state. They went to, for us, we've seen a big exodus to Idaho, Texas, Montana, Florida. Those have been our top exit people. From incoming, we're still heavily California, and we have quite a number of people coming from Virginia, weirdly enough, and the DC area, Amazon traffic. So that will allow us to be more mindful of who we need to be reaching out to in our Compass, in our our 3 for the Compass agents, to make sure that we have those regions covered for our clients, and to also know where maybe we should be targeting, like if we have listings that are heavily purchased by customers out of the San Francisco region, maybe we need to be doing social media marketing directly to those areas and to those agents that are down there, and maybe we'll find a buyer directly that way. So the great part about this is that you can take this the chart and the basic breakdowns, and you can look at your business and see what's important to you on that. I'm really bad at monitoring the chat. So if you do have the finance tab, this is the video. Deborah just put it in the box, so that way you can see you can see what that works. I can't explain it quite as well because I don't have it, but it is going to be nice and easy. And I hear that most of our regions are going to be getting them. I was kind of like dragging my feet on it, to be honest, because I was hoping it would populate before I really did this exact spreadsheet, but it has not happened yet. So if you do have the finance tab, watch this. It's actually good to watch if it's not the finance tab, because it also shows the way the CSV should be formatted to be able to copy and paste into this easily. So it's worth watching even if you don't have it. Does anybody have anybody want to jump in with questions or anything?
I think you answered the question about completing the data, but the charts didn't populate.
Thanks for helping me monitor the chat. I'm kind of terrible about it.
A lot of people just don't have the finance tab yet.
Yeah. So I did one where I populated it through MLS, and I also did one to tell you kind of roughly how much time it is. So we went back a year, 36 transactions, and I'm still adding outgoing referrals in. So I just started tracking the outgoing referrals because I realized that was a piece we were missing in our tracking, as because it's a whole part of the business, and it's one of the great pieces. I feel like people are not focusing on it quite enough, because we do have such a great network of agents, and we receive so many referrals, and we're able to give out quite a number, but we're not tracking it in the way that we should be, because mailbox money is great, right? You know, like you help make a great connection for your friend in another state, and then you just, money shows up in your account, which that's a nice thing to be able to have consistently, and to differentiate yourself with clients. People really respond well when you say that you can take, at least personally, our clients have really really, really been receptive when we've been like, well, let us pass you up, give you to somebody that's going to take great care of you somewhere else after they're having a great experience with you, or they know and trust you and they're overwhelmed with the process of moving. And it also makes that whole transition of the move more seamless. We're starting to see more contingent offers again. So people are waiting to sell their house to be able to buy, or instead of waiting fully. And being able to have that good communication with another agent makes the whole thing more straightforward for everybody.
Yeah, question we have, what are other methods for downloading the data if you do not have that data tab?
Yes, so Bob, your MLS, you can, do you have, what does your MLS look like? Where are you located?
Give me 1 second, I can unmute Bob. Bob, you can go ahead and mute yourself.
Hi, Bob. Does your MLS have, can you look yourself up? Like, can you look your transactions up? Like how I'm going to share a different screen with you again.
Yeah, we can look ourselves up. It's a MLS Pro or something like that it's called. But you would have to manually search and find transactions by date. They don't have dates.
Oh,
It's probably why we don't have this tool right now, because it's a great MLS for presenting data to clients. There's a lot of very searchable, but as far as some of the other features, it's just not a priority.
okay.
So that's why I was wondering what other ways to do this outside of sort of banging my head against my laptop looking at my MLS.
Your finance, what finance do you have? Like, do you have SkySlope right now? How does Compass manage
We have
commission?
SkySlope, Glide, SkySlope and Glide.
SkySlope and Glide. Okay. And do you have a transaction coordinator by chance?
We do, yes.
Okay. I would ask them, or your AEM, I would send them this file and just say, this is the data that you generally need, and from your transactions for the last year. That would be the easiest way for you to do it, because then they will populate it for you and send it over. The AEMs want to be very helpful. Yes, Wayne, that's exactly right. You may request a CSV or a printed spreadsheet from your regional finance.
Okay, so and we want to go back a year.
Yes, or beginning of the year. I personally like to track what pace we're on in comparison. So like I'm looking right now at the last half of last year and the first half of this year. So 12 rolling months. I personally like to look at it that way rather than just beginning of the year, because I like to see where we're on pace in comparison at the end of last year. And in comparison to number of transactions, if we're looking like we're going to hit the same numbers that direction, what we need to be doing. I like a rolling 12 months, but you can also just go back to the beginning of the year and do the years separately.
Would this be so the whole idea of the rolling, would this be a manual process, or once you're in the spreadsheet, you can just select for the last 12 months? So what I mean is I fill it out now, it's October, and I want to look at October to the previous October. I'll be able to, if I have the data there, I can just select those dates. Is that what you're saying?
What I do is I remove, like once we're into the end of the year, then I'll remove part of our data again and re-add it on a new block, so that I'm looking in comparison. So I do a mid-year check, end of year check, mid-year check, end of year check, and roll the data that direction.
Okay. So quarterly. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Or half year. Twice a year.
Twice a year. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hopefully that's helpful. I'm not the greatest on the whole tech support. I'm not an Excel wizard, but I am marginally sufficient. For doing, and the big reason for doing this is the way that then you can integrate priorities into your CRM. And so that's really what we're going to start focusing on after this, is what this data says to us, what it means, and how we can integrate that into continuing to grow business, and like what you should be focusing on. So we, for example, are, after looking at our template, so we'll go back to my template, is that we go to our charts and we really, and I'm really excited to add the charts in for like where people are going and where people are coming from, because I think that gives us a good look for the Compass network. But specifically looking at this client source and seeing where we really need to be spending our time, it really doubles down that idea of that this is like our business has become heavily a relationship business, and where we need to be focusing our time and energy is like we have a very clear big four. And as you start pulling them out, you will start to see those trends, and gives you a good idea of where your budget goes the furthest. And a lot of these things, like we do events. Yes, Brad, can we unmute Brad?
Brad, yeah, Brad was up next.
He's got his hand raised.
Yeah.
Hey, Megan, good to meet you.
Yeah,
Thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to see your charts again. So you're already ahead of me. Thanks.
Oh, perfect.
And I'm assuming Alaska, these Alaska referrals?
They are direct employees. So
Okay.
it's from a company here, Alaska Airlines.
Oh, I see. Got
So
it.
like for
Thanks.
us, that's a company that we get a number of.
Got it. Thank you.
So this percentage is that, like, this is so 17.1% of our business in the last 12 months has come from that company.
Wonderful.
And then 25.7 past clients, 31.4 Compass referrals, and then family and friends, 11.4. Apparently our family and friends need to be nicer to us.
Well, that leads to my next question, which is how
Yes.
long have you been doing this yourself? And what kind of changes have you made as a result of seeing your data?
We first did this, so we've been private coaching with Chirag about a year. And when we first met him, we dove into all of our business. And then we dove in to really breaking it down and seeing where we need to focus. And it really became clear that we were spending more money on direct marketing kind of than we really should be. There's certain neighborhoods here that I include in friends and like, so I live in a country club community, for example, and a lot of our friends and family are actually neighbors who we met being neighbors, but we became friends with them. So I view them more as a friends and family purchase than a neighbor family. Like this one was, I directly met them at the country club, not just being neighbors. So it's shown what we did is we planned out events to stay top of mind and made a push on gifting, and not even like big gifting. One of the things that we've been getting the biggest response on are off holidays. Like we have a crumble cookie, for example, and crumble cookie did, in looking at this, it made us know that we needed to focus on these relationships, right? And so we did the Lucky Charm cookie. They had Lucky Charms on the cookies, and we dropped them on people's porches. And at Easter, we did an Easter, like a golden Easter egg with stuff in it, and had them delivered to clients, friends, and family. And we got more responses on those off holidays than we do at like Christmas, because people are getting so many things that they don't expect to get something like just a little like, hey, how's it going? And it like not expensive. It it's had the biggest return on people reaching out and saying like, oh, hey, can you do a CMA on the house? We're thinking we might sell. Has been like some of those little small ways of keeping yourself focused or in front of them without, for like a fraction of what we were spending on some of our print marketing. I'm still a proponent of like some of it specifically for brand recognition, but it's really those direct relationships and focused relationships, we shifted our spend. Margot, it depends. I write a lot of handwritten notes. Like I'll sit in front of the TV and I'll write little like handwritten notes on our logoed stationery, but it depends on what the gift is. Like we just did little like printed tags with our logo in the Easter egg. But for the cookie, we did I did like a business, not a business card, a stationery card with a note written on them. And it allowed us to kind of, I try and plan, I look at this and then I try and plan 3 to 6 months out what our strategy will be from there in terms of like client source. If we're looking at, and this one specifically is very good for like marketing and what your spend is, because it really shows you like we could be spending a whole bunch of money on like direct marketing right here is such a small piece of the pie, right? And we've had a couple directly from the listing, like we have one right now that's not included because I didn't include anybody that's actively searching or going to be listing. It's all closed sales. And you can see that you're like, okay, well, does this actually make sense anymore? We did the Dave Ramsey program, the ELP lead, and it's a small return, right? And so it's one to monitor. But we use this data to plan 3 to 6 months out on strategy. And then you can kind of give people a general story in your marketing, and you can have a plan without feeling so like flustered. We're doing a block party in our driveway next month. That's exciting. So, any other questions about the data in terms of how do you like where we're going to go with it, and or just even about filling this out?
And while we wait for some questions to come in, I think a big point that you just brought up, and I just want to highlight it, is when you have data, what do you do with the data, right? Because having it is the first step. And the second step is then now you can make plans and you can make, changes, whether it be, planning client, like you said, Megan, what are you going to do with these people for the next 3 to 6 months, and really planning that out, not just doing a one-off cookie, which, that's great, but really then having a fully baked out plan around what's it going to be this month? What's it's going to be next month? What's the touch? Is it a handwritten note? Is it a cookie? Is it a this? Is it a that? Is it a client event? All those different things can then be planned out more strategically with data.
And it also allows you to pick things that will make you stand out and that you can like personalize for yourself.
Exactly.
Like,
and continue to build your own personal brand and differentiate yourself from other agents with the, within your sphere and within your client base.
Yeah, creating your own action plan. That's yes, Brad, is for each source is great. And we're taking a new look. We're working on a new spreadsheet to integrate into our business tracker because we want to try and make sure we see people more now that we can, right? But it's tracking like how to make sure we're tracking within this and within their action plans on Compass and Business Tracker, and making sure all of our friends and family and everybody is fully organized in the CRM in order to have it remind you and be like, hey, you haven't seen them in 3 months. Maybe you should reach out and see if they want to grab coffee. And keep training our agents, because we have 5 team members now. besides us, and continuing to train and talk about and coach how we put somebody into the CRM right away. Like our team has a tagging guideline, and you can go beyond what that is, but that way when it's shared to the team platform, everything, we can monitor them the same way. So all of this data then allows us to really dive into the CRM, because it feels like a heavy lift. Like it does. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that it doesn't feel like you're doing like you're like, oh my gosh, I'm doing so much data. It's forever and going through all of that, but it really has the opportunity to drive the streamlining of your business. And the Compass tools only work if your CRM is somewhat organized, and it's one that you can chip away a little bit at. That side of things you can chip away at a little bit every night. If we're gonna watch like Below Deck or something, I'll make sure I'll spend 15 of the minutes working on CRM to make sure it's still running correctly, and that we don't need to update anyone's notes. So it's where do we ask finance for if we are going to request for our data? Wayne said that perfectly. Where is Wayne? In the chat. Basically, that you just ask them that you need a CSV or a printed spreadsheet from your regional finance department. Just that. Wayne, that was perfectly put. I'm really excited to add the chart for where people are going and where people are coming from, just because I think that that's an opportunity of growth in our business personally. And it's one of the things I really like about doing this type of deep dive is that I find it exciting to see the opportunities and see that you're like, okay, well, I've done some pretty good work, but there's some things that even I'm not noticing or missing, and it helps drive into the new things. I'm like a super list maker though, so I'm a nerd.
Yeah. If anybody has any more questions about, what we've covered today and how to get the information, but if you can't find it with finance because you don't have that in your area, definitely lean on your, Compass staff. You can show them the sheet, say, here's something I need to work on. How can you get me this information? If you don't know what to ask for. How far back in time will you pull this data? Amanda's asking.
It depends on what you want to do. I'm actually going to go back and rerun all of our entire last 5 years, since we're looking at a time of change, because I want to see the trend, the trends over a longer period of time. But for business planning, a rolling 12 months, look back at, you could even look back to the beginning of 2021.
Okay, but yeah, everybody, who wants to pull data should just kind of think about what it is that they want to see in their business, and then kind of pull it from there. There's no right or wrong. And it's just about getting started. And then I think what happens a lot of times, or I should say all the time, you start with some data and then you're like, oh, now I want to see this, or now I want to see that. And then it starts to grow, and it may change from what you initially think that you need, and that's okay. And you can always go back and pull more data as you guys, but I think it's just get started. Yeah, just get started with something. And of course, Megan gave us a guideline of what she does, and that can be where you start. Of course, you can start somewhere else if that's what works for you. Megan, you say you're excited to see where clients are coming from and going.
Yes, I am. Yeah. Oh, can we unmute Brad?
Yes, I've asked him to unmute.
There we go.
Thank you. Saving my carpal tunnel. So when you said that, are we going to have the ability to add more columns here to get more
Yeah.
data? Okay, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, take this, grow it out. And this is a jumping off point. And anything that you see that might make sense for you, feel in your business, this is like you have free reign to do what you need to do. It's not like you only can do this. We're the end all be all. You can only do this. But so I'm adding a tab that's like if they were coming in from another state or not, if they're leaving to another state or not, and then if so, where are they coming from and where they're going to. So because we want to focus on making sure we're capturing all outgoing referrals that when we can, and that we are tracking where maybe we need to be marketing to a little bit more in incoming.
Yeah, that's so helpful. Thanks. And I'll say that, what I did is I went in for neighborhoods and I traded it out for buildings because
Okay.
we're in San Francisco and we do a lot of condos. So buildings, I wanted to see the metrics there. So it'd be nice to do both.
Yeah, exactly. So you can trade out what you need to do and add whatever works best for your business. And then going forward, we'll be working on more of like the Compass tools and business tracker and how all this ties together. So this gives us a jumping off point.
Yeah, and to that point, there are fields in here that have formulas that you don't want to touch, but any of the columns that can be changed, like from neighborhood to building to, you can definitely customize the sheet that works best for your market with those titles. Just don't touch the fields that have mathematical formulas in them. And because once you undo that formula, we will need to re-put it in for you. So try not to touch the data that has numbers.
And then if you do know Excel, you can add columns with additional charts and numbers.
Absolutely. You can always do that if you're, and that's
if you're Excel savvy. I make Rich do that.
Savvy or someone that you work with is on your team, if you've employed someone who is, they can always take what we've started from 0 to 1, which is, I think this is a great tool, and expand it to, including more things if you need.
Yeah. And fun, so this is a fact that y'all don't totally need to know, but so Rich is my husband that we run the team together. And in a previous chapter, he was a statistics professor. I hated statistics, but I applied statistics. And so I applied data, but it's kind of funny. He's always like, oh, this is the class that everybody hated. It was so fun to teach that. He also hates when I tell everybody. So, but I like the applied, and you don't have to be a math whiz to kind of utilize this and make it work to increase your business. Well, does anybody have anything else?
All right, just so you know, all of these sessions are recorded and stored on our community platform. So if you're joining us live, of course, you're here. If you want to go back and review any of today's session and or any of the other accountability coaches, you have access to that. Just allow us 24 hours to, of course, get everything in there from when we first go live. But all this information is here, and I'm sure Megan would be happy if you want to reach her offline at any time and connect with her with any questions, or of course, even to build a relationship for future partnering on business. Please feel free to do that. So if no one else has any questions, Megan dropped her email in the chat, so you can reach out to her there. Thank you guys so much for joining us today for our accountability session, and we hope to see you next week. And of course, next week live with more coaching and with Chirag. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yep. Bye-bye.